It is so good to have you with us. We appreciate you making Rotary part of your day. You have a great program, so I'm going to jump right into the business. Let's ask John. Where's John? John Harrell. Ask you to say the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
President, Lord of the universe, as Rotarians and community leaders, we acknowledge your expectation of leading your service to others, and that service to others is at least the case with placed above self-service. As we near our celebration of 100 years of service above self, let us renew our obligation to fulfill that expectation with a new commitment to help others in our community, our nation, and our world. Prompt us to intentionally serve others through the power, influence, and wealth that we as leaders most certainly have. Let us always remember that these are blessings from you, and that charity is more fulfilling than decadence, and that the golden rule is a much richer yardstick than a microphone. Amen.
Thank you. So we just have a number of kids today.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce our guests. Stand when your name is called and remain standing until all names have been called. Our first guests are Darren and Lisa Nunn from the Muskogee Rotary Club. Next, we have Tiffany Bray of Tiffany Bray Photography, guest of Tabitha Lewis Coverson. Next is D.A. Abrams, COO of Groundswell, guest of Leon Childs. Also, guest of Leon Childs is Reverend Mitchell L. Johnson, also with Groundswell. And lastly, we have James Goodlett with the First Presbyterian Church, guest of Susan Ferguson. Welcome.
We're glad to have you all, and welcome you back anytime. So we do have a number of birthdays and anniversaries to share with you today. Celebrate with these folks. First of all, George Bailey, August 4th, had a birthday. And Matt, we have a couple of club anniversaries. Susanna, 1 year. Feels like longer, doesn't it? August 3rd. You've been to college 10 years now, right? Is that- August 3rd, 1 year. Glad you're with us. And then Danny Guy, wow, August 8th, he's been with the club 33 years. So it's fantastic. Speaking of longevity, we do have a couple of wedding anniversaries to share with you. Jaja and Titus Hurd on August 4th, 31 years. Congratulations. That's really impressive until I read John and Mariana Sapola. August 5th, 45 years together. So I do have a couple of announcements to make to you. First of all, some of you have participated in the Rotary Leadership Institute training. It's a great way. I think there's a 1, 2, part 1, part 2, part 3. Great way to dig into Rotary, learn more about areas of service. If you're interested in leadership, this is a great way to find out more about roles and responsibilities within the club. So there's a Rotary Leadership Institute training in Peachtree City this weekend. I know that's not much notice, but if you're interested, let me know. Typically, there'll be one in Columbus or other places around the district. So I'll try to give you a little bit more notice next time. But let me know if that's something that interests you. I've said this in previous weeks, but I want to remind you again. This is Membership and New Club Development Month for Rotary International. So I want to challenge everybody here, one person, just one guest to bring. And if there's any interest at all in joining Rotary, let Molly, let me know. We'll be glad to follow up with them. But just bring one person. We have some great programs in the weeks ahead, and I feel like they'll enjoy being part of the group. We do have a board meeting next Wednesday, so 1 o'clock if you need a makeup, if you're interested in joining. The LaGrange Rotary 5K, we had a good response, so thank you everybody who's volunteered to help with that. We have about 17 volunteers so far. We need about a dozen more. So if you haven't volunteered, I mean, you're going to be there in one shape or form. You can either walk, run, or volunteer. So let Scott Land know, let John Harrell know. They could use another dozen volunteers. But again, that was a good response. Really appreciate everybody volunteering. And then we've had a great group that's been meeting at Ken's office for the last, I don't know how long. We're meeting weekly now to talk about 100-year anniversary activities, but really appreciate everybody who's been part of that group. We want to make sure this milestone is recognized. We mentioned in previous weeks that we are going to be seeking $1,500 sponsors, particularly for those organizations who've been part of Rotary for decades. And there are many, many people in the room whose organizations have been part of LaGrange Rotary, some going back more than 50 years. But those messages should go out the next day or two. And if you have any questions about that, Ken Miles can answer those. Or if you're ready to make a commitment, he can accept that as well. I do want to express my appreciation to Ken. You know, most past presidents change their phone number, moved to Albuquerque, but he's really stayed engaged, and I'm sincerely grateful for that. Ask everybody to sign your cell phones as we get closer to the program. We do have time for some happy dollars. Who's happy today? Tell me something great that's going on in the life of the community. Look at how happy Gary is.
Okay, so LSBA is officially kicking off our 43rd season next week with a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. It will be at the LSBA Black Box Theater on the 214 Bull Street, and shows are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings at 7:30, and then we have a 3 o'clock matinee on Sunday. And I promise you, the talent will blow you away. You can make plans to be there. You can go to our website and check it out, or you can ask me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to call your attention to page 18 of Trent, and to say thank you to Kay Minshew. She did the article celebrating 100 years of Rotary, so be sure to check that out. You'll probably get one in your If you get one, you get it in your mail. If there's some on the table, and if you still need more, let us know. We'll put a few extra at the check. So thank you.
Susan?
An announcement, that we're gonna have to make, and then he told me to bring $1 to make it. And at one time, we ordered, road insurance. We did for some, for the internet, everything, but they would bring, like, fishing shirts, but we are going to bring, we are going to color. I found a plan there, and the men and the women that are, the dark cobalt blue, there would be about $50 with the rotary and leather. Train working up with that I'm going to send out, and you can just pre-order them later, or I can let it on the table if you already know you want one, then you're and it'll probably take a couple of weeks of order, because it'll be here in a month, so it'll be appropriate everyone order.
Thank you, Susan. Really appreciate you taking time to look into that. I'm personally rocking a 20-year-old Rotary shirt. That's literally 2003, weighs 15 pounds, and every time a sweat gives you a circle about that business. I'm looking forward to the new shirts. So, any other announcements for the club? If not, I'm excited about today, and I'm going to ask Sandy Taylor to come up and make an introduction. Thank you for helping us with the program and helping us secure it.
I'm excited about the program as well. I have known the speaker since she came to DJJ in 2011. I've been on the State Board of Juvenile Justice since 2004, so I've been there through three governors, and one of the benefits has been some of the great people I met. Shawanda Reynolds Cobb was appointed as commissioner of the Department of Juvenile Justice on May 3rd of 2023. She actually took over in a commissioner change that took place literally at Christmas. And so she came on and had been assistant commissioner, but she was really, really significant in making that transition smooth, as she had been to me as board chair in the change of commissioners that took place prior to that, also, again, pretty suddenly. She's responsible every day for the operation of a 3,400 employee state agency. The goal of the Department of Juvenile Justice is to hold youth accountable for their actions through probation supervision as well as secure detention. Prior to her appointment as commissioner, Ms. Reynolds Cobb served as assistant commissioner and chief of staff, overseeing the operational aspects of DJJ, including the Division of Administrative Services, Division of Community Services, Division of Secure Facilities, Division of Treatment and Care, and the Office of Professional Development and Standards. She has 30 years in government service, all in areas that are near and dear to my heart. She was with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, which is a statewide agency that oversees a lot of the money that goes for our victim services. And you see the DUI signs on the road where people are killed by DUI drivers. That was part of what she oversaw there. And then she came to be with us at DJJ in 2011. She came in as Deputy Commissioner of Administrative Services, where she was over contracts, technology and information services, engineering and maintenance, property records, fleet, grants, real estate, strategic planning, and project management. In that role, she worked closely with external agency partners on special projects to assist with furthering the mission of the department. In March of 22, the former commissioner named her as his assistant commissioner and chief of staff, where she oversaw the department's leadership team and worked closely with staff on long-term agency strategies and initiatives. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in criminal justice from Georgia State in 1994 and her master's in administration from Central Michigan in 1999. Beyond that, she has been a great friend and a wonderful human being. She has 2 beautiful children and is a great mother, in addition to this career where she has worked her way through the state into a large leadership position responsible for the future of a lot of the youth in our communities and for the direction of public safety in our communities when it pertains to the juvenile offenders. The agency addresses, and I don't want to steal your thunder, the agency works with probation offices in the community where we manage youth that are still in the community. And we also have secure facilities where we manage juveniles that are not safe to be back in the community yet. And there we have a lot of rehabilitation programs and address a lot of issues from substance abuse to mental health issues to educational issues. And so I'd like to welcome Shawanda. In the meantime, I should have done this first. We have Dr. Nick Griffin with us, who is in a new position with the Troup County School System as transition facilitator. He will be working with our DJJ youth back in, as well as other youth in our school system from pre-K to high school, as far as helping them become successful through times of transition for them. So thank you for coming, Dr. Griffin and Shawanda.
Well, thank you so much, Chairwoman Taylor, for introducing. And thank you all so much for allowing me to come to talk to you today about DJJ and the work that we do. So I want to just start by saying to you all, I know that sometimes when you think about the kids at DJJ, there's already this notion. And so you may hear me during the time that I talk, I may use the term youth, because that is officially how we refer to the children that are with us. Sometimes you'll hear me say children, and the mom and me will make me sometimes say our babies, because they are, some of them very young. So I want to start by talking to you about who are these children, because I think it's so very important that we give them an identity and that we understand who they are, so we don't have these misconceptions about them. So the thing that probably makes the job the most difficult thing for me is when I go into a facility and I see the 9, the 10, the 11, and the 12-year-olds. Because when you see them, you are very clear that they are very young people. Some of them about this high, and they remind you of every kid that you see, either in your Sunday school class or just out in your community, at a park, at Little League games. That's who they are. Some of these kids are the most memorable kids that you will ever meet. I walk in and talk to them, and you don't ask for this, it's automatically, no ma'am, yes ma'am, okay ma'am, and that's what you get. Now, some just the opposite. Where it's just like, okay, we need to talk about manners, so we need to talk about rules. Some of these kids, especially as a result of the pandemic, on any given day, and let me just tell you, we have about 1,200 that's inside what we call a facility. And a facility for us is divided into 2, and we have 25. So we have what's called a RYDC, which is a Regional Youth Development Center. And I like to say to people, it's like baby jail, because it's a short-term stay is what the kid will do there. And then we have 6 YDCs, which are our long-term facilities, and I refer to that as baby prison, because that is where they will spend the majority of their time with us in their sentence, and they need secure confinement. They will stay with us sometimes 2 to 3 years, depending on what the charges were. Now, with our facilities, we've built obviously several over the years. We have facilities that were built in the 60s, and those facilities look very much like what you would see on television in any adult arena. Some of those facilities we actually purchased, and purchased with state government mean that there was some paperwork and the facility was just given over to us by the adult system. And once you have that environment, no matter what you do, you can't really change that feel of an adult environment. Over the last 5 years or so, though, with all of the research out there, we have done a better job of making them more friendly for the young people that we serve. So the colors are more, the furniture is much different. So we're creating environments that hopefully will be more conducive to the brain development that they still have to endure, to the therapy and the treatment that we're providing to them. So that gives you a sense of what the environment is like. The children, some of them are with us until they're 21. Some of them leave us and they go directly into the adult system, depending on the charges. And what I will tell you is that the older they are, the more difficult it is to manage them. And not all of that is on the kid. Some of that is on us as well, because when we think through and look at our programming and the schooling that we provide, some of them over time, it's only so much that you can really offer them. So we're really looking at what can we do to really help them. So that gives you a little bit, I hope, of information on who the kids are. So I do want to say to you that some of them come, they've been victims, and they've been victims all of their lives. So some of the behavior that drove them to the delinquent behavior is because of the environment and what they've been around. Others, on any given day, 50% of the population, they're on a mental health caseload. So those are a total different set of circumstances that we're having to work with the kids on. And I think this is probably a good time to really try to hopefully help you all understand, because I'm sure you're seeing it in the school system as well. Mental health is real with our young people. And we're trying to make sure at the state level, and this is not just the DJJ, this is DFACS, this is the Department of Behavioral Health, Public Health, we're all trying to figure out a way that we bring more resources to deal with mental health. Right now, what you will see is either kids with mental health issues are either in a hotel, which DFACS, they're trying to work their way out of that, or if there's nowhere else to go and there are new charges, they're sending the kids to our facilities. And the most disturbing thing about that for all of us, including the judges, when we talk about these issues, is that, yes, we provide mental health services, but we don't necessarily provide mental health treatment. So if you have a high-end mental health issue, you need to be in an environment where it's all about treating your mental health. We're responsible for providing services for youth that have committed delinquent acts. And so our staff, although we do have an internal mental health and behavioral health unit, our staff, they're not trained to be the mental health professionals that so many of our young people are requiring right now. So I did want to bring that up. Autism is also a big issue that we're seeing with our youth. And then we also have youth that are coming and intellectually, and I'll tell you a short story. We had a 15-year-old, when he was going through the intake process, which is the first time you're coming into our system at RYDC short term, his question was, do you think the other kids will play with me? This is not the environment for this young person. And so then we go into this mode of, we've got to try to protect you from the other kids that really do belong here, because we don't want you to become a victim in our facility. So those are the children that make up the Department of Juvenile Justice. And that is what our staff spend their days doing each and every day, each and every night, because it is a 24/7 operation. The next thing that I want to tell you about DJJ is that we're the 181st school district. So in my role, not only do I serve as the commissioner, but I also serve as the superintendent of our school system. We hire educators, we have principals, we do everything in DJJ at our facility that you would do in any public school system across the state of Georgia. And we take education very, very serious because with all of the programs that we talk about, if we don't educate those kids, they still don't have a chance. And so that is very important to us. We hold 2 graduations a year. Just like you would in any high school, we bring all the kids together in one centralized location. And we have a valedictorian, we have a salutatorian, the kids give speeches, very inspiring speeches. And the kids work really, really hard in school. We work really hard to try to catch them up. As Chairwoman Taylor has said, a lot of times kids have not been in a situation where they've been going to school. So we're trying to, if you're 15, I think that's 9th grade, but the last time you went to school was in 7th grade. Now we're trying to get you caught up so when you leave us, you can go back to your regular school and hopefully be in a place where you can perform and you can graduate there. In some instances, the local schools don't always, for good reason, want to accept the kids back. So we also have 3 ETCs, which are Educational Transition Centers. They're located in Muskogee, Macon, and Savannah. And what we do there is the kids that can't go back to a local school, we educate them there. And they too are part of the graduation ceremonies that we have. We graduate kids with high school diplomas, with GED, and certification programs that they may have completed while they're with us. We have kids that start their college education with us. We have kids that leave us, they go into the military. I received a letter from a young man last week who was in one of our facilities, and today he's a law enforcement officer and a published author. And he was writing to ask whether or not he could come back and talk with the kids, take them through his book to maybe help them understand that you don't have to be defined by the choices that you made as a young person. So there are success stories, and I think that that's important for everybody to understand that some of the kids really get the services, the resources, and they make it work for them. We don't do this work without family engagement. And family engagement as a state, we're beginning to realize is more important now than ever. So we have been doing state agencies, we've been working together to look at how we not only provide the services for the young people, but how we engage more with the families, because the kids are not with us forever. They go home, they go back to the community, and they need that same level of support when they go home in order for them to really have a fighting chance. Now, some kids will tell us, I can't go back. I don't want to go back. If I go back, this is what I'm going to have to endure. And I'm not going to stand here and not touch on the gang activity that we see as well. Some of the children come from families where everybody in the family, and when I say everybody, parents, they're a part of gangs. And for the first time, I was really shocked by this, because obviously in the environment that we're in, if you're doing a phone call, we record those phone calls because we're also public safety. And to hear a mom say to a child, I'm disappointed in you, I'm not disappointed because you're involved in the game. I'm disappointed because you're affiliated with this game and not this game. So that is just very heartbreaking and very disappointing. And when you realize that this is what some of these kids are up against, and then you see you have 30 days left with us, why are you acting out? They're acting out because they want us to extend the stay, because you don't want to go home. So we have reentry services, and where the community really comes into play with us is because at the time of entry, we're already working on a reentry plan for the youth. We're trying to make sure that if you're school age, you're going to be in an environment where you can complete your education. If you graduated with us, we're trying to make sure that there's a plan. If that plan is technical school, military, college, or getting a job, we're working with the local communities, trying to make sure that that plan is in place so that when you are released, we don't want you to come back. Our goal is to not be the pipeline for the Department of Corrections. We want to cut it off right there at DJJ. So these are the things, our kids do all of the standardized tests that you would do in any public school. We report up, we work with DOE, records are transferred from our school system to their school system. Our school is Georgia Preparatory Academy because we're trying to pull back the labels. We don't want on your record it to say school DJJ. So many years ago, that was changed to try to make things a little easier for our young people. So facilities. When you're in a facility, if you're in a short-term facility, like I said, that's like jail. We still provide education. It may not look like what the education looks like in a long-term facility because you may only be with us. Some kids may be with us for 2 or 3 days. Some may be 30, depending on what area of the state, it can be longer. But then there are services that are outside of education. Some of our kids have anger issues, so we're providing anger management. Some of them have committed sex crimes, so we are taking them through the programming, weeks of programming, to help them deal with those circumstances. Also, we're pulling back the layer because if you're a child that's committing a sex crime, 9 times out of 10, you are a victim of a sex crime. We also provide services if they have addiction issues, because some of our kids do have addiction issues, so we're providing them with those services as well. And what you will see is depending on the circumstances of the young person, sometimes they start the service with us, they're released from us, and then they will finish the treatment in the community. We also ensure we do what's called group therapy, and every child is involved in some group. And the reason for that is because we're trying to teach them communication skills and how to interact with other people, and that doesn't always have to involve anger and aggression. So we're working with them on that. And then, of course, with the mental health issues, that works like it would in any community. You have your hour with your psychologist or with your psychiatrist to ensure that we're providing that service to you while you're with us. So that is kind of the treatment side, and that's facility life. Then we move into the community. We have about 10,000 kids that falls under the umbrella of DJJ. Majority of the kids are actually in the community and not inside facilities. So we have contracts with many providers that are in the community where the young people are actually in a community placement program. Some of them may be on just probation, so they are wear monitors. They're going to school, they're going to work, they're doing the normal everyday activity, and our probation officers are doing check-ins on them. The one other thing that I do want to mention, school resource officers, we are bringing back that program into our school system. And you guys are probably thinking, well, why would y'all need school resource officers inside of the facility? The reason for that is because we do have a shortage of juvenile correction officers. But the education piece is so important. We cannot jeopardize kids going to school because there are not enough officers to move the kids to education, or there are not enough officers to monitor each of the classrooms during the day. So we have the school resource officers to make sure, regardless of how many JCOs we have, that we will have individuals in place that will get these kids, walk with these kids to school every day from their dorms, and will be there and will be present throughout the school day to ensure that education is happening in the classroom. Because we don't believe that education can happen on a housing unit. They're allowed. Teachers don't teach on a housing unit. You don't have books. You don't have your whiteboards and all of the tools that you need as an educator if they're not in school, if they're in the physical school in the building. So that's another piece that I wanted to mention. With our ETCs, which are community schools, we pick the kids up, we bring them to school, we feed the children. And what we realize is that because we do the traditional school lunch program inside of our facilities, but what we have recently realized, that doesn't work in an ETC. Because we know that the kids inside of our facilities, we know that they're getting 3 meals, and we know that they're getting snacks, and then we have these incentives so you can get additional snacks and things like that. We don't know what's happening with the kids in the community. So we've decided to forego the funding for the lunch program in those 3 schools. And our goal is to make sure that the kids get 3 great meals, that they get enough food because we provide breakfast, we don't do portion control, and that they get a good lunch, because that may be the only meal or the best meal of the day. So that's another thing that we do on the community side. In addition to that, reentry. So we partner with businesses that will be willing to hire our young people, because it's also very important. The same issues that adults face when they are released from the Department of Corrections, those are the same issues that our young people have. So you will see places like Captain D's have been willing, Walmart, they've been willing to hire our kids. Home Depot, we've done partnerships with them for them to also be willing to hire our young people. And what we're noticing, we have a project on Augusta. And one of the things that we offer our kids is a construction program. So we are building a new school as well as a new housing unit in Augusta. And this is the first time we've ever done this on an active campus, which means we're not moving the kids. So the kids are fascinated to see all of the heavy equipment, all of the work that's going. So we've had conversations with the state entity that actually oversees these large construction projects, and the company that's working with us to do the project. And they've agreed to allow a few of the kids that are doing well in school, doing well in the construction program, and also have good behavior, to allow them to have some meetings with them. And we're going to try to let them be involved in the design of the school and building like bookshelves and things like that, to actually go into school to give them that work experience and an opportunity to show them just how much we believe in them and how much we will continue to back them and to try to help them as they move out of our facilities. So that's a little bit about reentry, our school system, and our facilities. Outside of that is the business side of DJJ. We have medical doctors, we have attorneys, we have psychologists, we have psychiatrists, we have engineers, we have maintenance people, we have nutritionists, we have accountants, we have CFOs. There's this huge business around this that also all of the things that we're doing for the kids, that's behind the scenes, just making sure that things are happening for the kids. And everything that we do is about how will the kids benefit. That is the goal, because we have to believe in them. We have to try to expose them and give them hope, where maybe many of them don't have hope. They don't know what to dream about. And so we're trying to make sure that we give them opportunities to experience those things so that they don't end up in the adult system. Peer mentors, we are bringing in forensic peer mentors, which on the adult side has worked in an unbelievable way. They have been going into the adult facilities or prisons for over a year, and no one has recidivated that went through a program with a forensic mentor. So we are going to partner with the Department of Behavioral Health, and these forensic mentors are individuals that have been incarcerated. Some of them have actually been in DJJ's custody before they went to the adult system, but now they're working in state government with the Department of Behavioral Health. And they go into these systems and they work with the young people as well as the adults to just help show them that there's a path for you. And with that path, you have to understand that if you make good decisions, if you believe in you, if you take advantage of all of the tools that you've been given, you can turn things around. So we're very excited about that opportunity because we do believe that our young people will benefit from having it. So I think that's probably my time, but thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. You have a challenging job, but so full. We appreciate you're providing for the state and for our children. And again, Sandra, thanks for securing our program today. It was very interesting. So we are going to make a donation in your honor to Polio Plus, which is Rotary's initiative to eliminate polio worldwide. We say that every week, but that's actually a big deal. I mean, how many of you remember polio? I mean, it preceded me, but my grandfather had limited use of his arm because of polio. My wife's grandfather had a severe limp because of polio. It's awful. So this is a small part in helping to eliminate that from the world. We have some good programs coming up. I want to bring it to your attention. So next week, Justice Carla Wong McMillan from the Georgia Supreme Court. August 23rd, one of our new members, John Mahaffey, is going to give an update on the Grange Academy. August 30th, the Chief Investment Officer for Synovus, Robert Nobles, is going to be here. And then on September 6th, Representative Calvin Smyrie, longtime legislator, longtime history in the state legislature, is going to come talk about his experience. He's also one of the leaders for Synovus. So it should be a good month ahead. Come back and bring a friend. We're adjourned.